Hi YouTube! So today we're going to be going over to the office and I'm actually going to be doing some more of the new morphs of some of the other reptiles that we have on the shop. I know that I started with the albinos for, I believe, the Pac-Man frog, the leopard gecko, and the ball python. So we still have a couple more reptiles that we can do albinos of, and then there's a couple of reptiles that don't actually have albinos of, but have some that I guess are kind of similar, or I think are similar enough that I'm going to be releasing them with the albinos that we have as well. So we're gonna go over to the office and I guess I'll decide on which ones I'm gonna do once I get there. So it might be some more albinos, or it might be some of the other reptiles that don't necessarily have an albino, but maybe they have a pure white or a lighter one, or just something else interesting as a morph color wise that can be released with these as well, because I don't want to not start some of the color morphs for a reptile just because they don't have the same exact morph variant as the others, because while there is crossover in like morph names, and like most things have albinos, there's going to be those ones that don't have the exact same morph as some of the others do. I hope that makes sense. But since I'm starting morphs, I want all of them to have a morph up. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. But that's what we're gonna do today. So I guess let's go over to the office and start setting up for that. Alright guys, made it over to the office. I already actually went ahead and restocked my freebies yesterday. And we've already started the new morphs, so I went ahead and marked off those two things on our checklist on the whiteboard. I'm working on the spiders right now still, so those should be coming soon. I don't know how soon, but soon. My dad's in a meeting right now, so you might be able to hear him through the wall. I'm not entirely sure, but hopefully it's not that distracting or that loud for you guys. But I'm just getting everything open and turned on so that we can start doing our printing. And it's kind of messy right now because still organizing this place to be more organized, be cleaner for actually being an office kind of space. So you might remember I had two small shelves right here behind the printer. That's where all that stuff was. But I need a bigger shelf because it was just kind of all squished up there. Even though there was two shelves, they were both, like I said, they were both small, and I will also need more room to put more stuff still. So I went and I got a bigger shelf. It's not up yet though, so all that's just sitting on this computer desk I have over here in front of the printer for right now. You see my little Lego Ghostbusters are actually on top of the printer. But once I get that shelf put up, I'll be able to get all that off of my desk, so it won't be as messy. But we had to fill in the holes on the walls that were left over from the previous shelves, and then of course paint over it. So the wall is still actually drying. It's probably dry enough that we could hang up the shelf today. I was just letting it sit a little bit longer so that it wouldn't damage the paint whenever hanging up the shelf. Because if you remember, when we took down the TV on the wall, even though we had waited a good while for that TV to be mounted, a couple days at least, I think is what we waited. It still ended up being that when we took the TV off the wall, the mount pulled some of the paint off, which a TV is gonna be heavier than a shelf, but I still would like to not have that problem again if I need to move the shelf at some point. And I might get another shelf for over there as well eventually, so that here, I'll show you. My computer's turning on. Like, over here I had 1, 2, and they were short like that. The one that I have now is gonna go from the corner and stop right at where the pegboard starts. So I want this one, and I don't want them to be too tall because I'm a little short. So I want them to be where I can grab stuff or move things easily. So this one's gonna go right here, and then eventually, if I need another one, I'm just gonna bring it this way. So it will be kind of an L-shaped shelf like that over my computer and my printer. And like I said, all of this will go up there. But if I need to potentially move them, I don't want the paint to be pulled off. So it's probably good right now to hang up the new shelf. But I was just giving it a little bit extra time just to make sure. And before we actually print any stickers, I told you that I did the, oh no, it updated. How do I, I think it's in settings. Yes, okay. I printed out some more freebies, and when I printed them out, I noticed that the Cricut, where it's cutting, has shifted a little bit again, which makes sense because the Cricut Makerspace just updated again, and whenever it updates, it seems that it might shift the calibration slightly depending on how they updated it. Sometimes it doesn't really seem to shift at all, and sometimes it does just slightly, which has been fine for me. But I just since we're about to print out some new stickers, and I already noticed this issue, I'm going to recalibrate my Cricut. And I realized that I don't think that I've done that for the channel yet. Like actually taking you guys through how to do that, or how I do that, or whatever, how it gets done. So I was going to show you guys that process, since it's something that I need to do before printing out these other stickers. So I'm going to go ahead, and I have the Cricut Maker space open, so I'm going to rotate you guys, flip you guys around, and just walk you through that with me, and then we'll see which stickers we get to today. Okay, here is my Cricut Maker space, and so what I have to do is go to the settings, and then go to machines. I need to calibrate, so let me come here. I have a Maker 3, so let me click that, and I'm gonna do start machine calibration. We're doing print then cut on our Canon Pro. There we go. I don't know why it's copied to. I need to fix that, but I just don't care to do that at the moment. So I've been coming and actually using some of my cardstock paper when I've done this in the past. I've only had to do it 1 or 2 times, but this way I know that the paper's not really going to tear when I have to put it on the grid for the calibration. So let me go ahead and put the cardstock in like that. Okay, then we come over here and we do print, and then it's going to hopefully send it over and start printing. It looks like it will. And then once it's printed out, I'll come back to you guys with the next step, because I don't really want you guys sitting through the the printing sounds. But I'm going to click start print, and then I'll come back whenever the page is done and we're on to the next step. The page is done printing. This is what it looks like, the calibration page. So it's just square, bigger square, numbers, and letters. My printer's making sound. And then another big square. So let's get this stuck down on our grid. And I've flipped the grid upside down when I was doing the freebies, because over here is not super sticky anymore, and I was testing if flipping it upside down was okay, and it is okay. So that's why, if you're wondering why it's upside down, that's why. Don't worry, I know it's upside down. It's okay. But let me go ahead and get this stuck to the grid, and then I will continue calibrating with you guys the Cricut machine. I have the page stuck down, and I've already gotten it in the position ready. So then we actually come back over to my laptop, which has turned itself off. Click continue. We've already done this. So now we tell it that we want to use Bluetooth to connect to our Cricut. It's telling us to just make sure that the blade and the mat and everything is ready, which it is. So let's go ahead and tell it to suck up the paper like that. And then it's going to measure. Okay, and then we click, go ahead. So it's gonna, let me come back over here actually. It's going to cut the very first square on the page, and then you can kind of see behind the spinny wheel that then we check it to see if it did it in the center of the square or if it's offset. So I'll come back, I guess, whenever it's done doing that, and we'll see how it looks. All right, it did the very first cut, and we're not supposed to take it out yet, but we're gonna try and look in the middle square and see how it cut. I think you guys can see, but it did cut in the square. It's a little bit off-centered in the square, but it's still actually in the square, which is what the question is. Did it cut in the line in the square? And it did, so I'm going to say yes. And now it's going to go on to a more, I guess, detailed calibration. And I'll show you guys what all that entails when it's done with this part, because this part actually takes a lot longer because it's going along the top and the bottom, all of the tiny little lines, and cutting each one individually. So I'll show you guys that whenever it's done. So now again it says without unloading, so we're going to come back over to our Cricut and our paper, and I think you guys can see that it's gone and cut on the top and on the bottom, or on the side, these lines. And what it wants us to do now is figure out which number is the closest to being centered and which letter is the closest to being centered. So now I stand here and I try to figure out which of these lines is the closest to being centered to me. And I think on the top, it looks like 13 is pretty close to being centered. I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but I think 13's centered. And then if we look at these letters here, I think it's gonna be G is the closest to being centered on along this. So 13 and G, I think, is gonna be our centers. And now we come over here and we just put that in. So on the top we said 13, And on the right, we said G. And this is where I then double check myself. Because I know I just said it to you guys, but I want to make sure that I'm not putting in the wrong one. 13 and G. Yep, that's what I think. So now I click OK, and then it's going to cut another square. It's going to be the outer square. So I'll come back again whenever it's done cutting that one, and we'll see if I chose... Oh, I guess it did it. So we'll see if I chose the right ones. Okay. It looks a little off. Like up right here and right here. But I don't know if that's because the paper is not exactly center. I mean, it's pretty close. See, because now I'm going to have to click no. So I'm going to have to do all of that again on a different paper. But that one just, it didn't do good at all. So I'm going to do the exact same thing that I just walked you guys through. And we'll see if I can get this one to do correctly. Because I mean, why is it so far off this time? I don't know. I might have chose the wrong... I mean, I don't know. I feel like that one was centered. And that one was centered. Yeah, I mean, these ones are pretty much in the center, so I guess G was incorrect. Even though that looks pretty close. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I will come back with the new one and we'll see how that one goes. Alright, I went ahead and I did the second calibration sheet. And so I wanted to show you guys what this one looked like, because this one, it's good now. So I wanted you to see what it actually looks like when it is fully calibrated correctly, because I think that this one is pretty close to being like 100% perfect, so I'm not gonna mess with it anymore. But let me flip you guys around and I will show you what it looks like. For this one, you might be able to see in the middle the small square. It's pretty close to being already in the center on this one, but it was up a little bit and then it was to the left a little bit. And my dog just came in. But then on these marks, you can see that they just, I mean, they look the same as how they do on the other one, but on this one, 12 was very close to being in the center. And then again on these, it was, I think, L. Yeah, L was like perfectly centered. So I was like, oh yes, this is going to be a good one, I think. And then whenever it got to the final big square, I don't know if you guys will be able to even see that cut on it, but it is perfectly centered on the left side, and it's perfectly centered on the top. On the bottom, it has a very slight shift, and on the right, a very slight shift. But it's, like I said, it's very slight. You can't even really see it at all anyway. So I don't even know if you guys can see the other cuts on the big square to start with. So you'll have to take my word for it. It's pretty close, but that's what it's supposed to do whenever it's calibrated and correct. It's not supposed to be pretty obviously like shifted, especially on the last cut, because the last cut is supposed to be fully calibrated at that point after going through these. So this one is good. Now we can do the stickers because we've got it fully calibrated. And like I told you guys, the freebies I did, they were just a little bit off. It wasn't enough that I would actually worry about it. But since we're going to be doing some new stickers that are actually being sold, they're not freebies, right? I wanted to make sure that they could be as nice as possible for people, since it is money being spent on a product. So wanted to go ahead and get this done, but because that took up a decent amount of time for this video, I'm gonna do, I think, some of the ones that are not actually albino morphs, but are close to like the albino, or like a lighter version of the reptiles that I have that don't have albino for them. So I guess without further ado, I'll show you guys which ones I'm talking about, and we will get those printed and cut out as stickers. So let's go ahead and get on with it. Alright, I know that I've been, I guess, a little, I haven't been purposefully like hiding which ones I've been planning on doing, because I actually didn't know if I was gonna have enough time to do the last of the albinos, or if I was gonna do the ones that, like I said, don't have an albino, but have ones that I think are similar enough that I would be releasing them in tandem with the albinos of the others. But because the calibration took up longer than I anticipated, as always, I am going to just be doing the ones that are not albino, but I think are similar enough, or, you know, in the same kind of vein that people won't feel, I guess, left out of there not being an albino for it. And I've been saying reptile, but it's actually a bearded dragon, which is a reptile, and a dumpy frog, which is an amphibian. So those are the two that I'm going to be doing, and I will show you guys which of the morphs I'm going to be doing for those. I actually already have all of the color morphs that I plan on doing ready for all of the reptiles and amphibians, but I'm not doing them all at once. So I'm just telling you guys that I actually have all of the colors that I'm going to be doing initially ready for every single reptile / amphibian that I have currently on the shop, but I'm just doing them slowly, putting them out there, starting with the albinos, then I'll move on to some of the other colors. But it's gonna be a long process in doing all of that, and I wanted to make sure that while I'm still working on the spiders, I still have stuff that I can be slowly trickling out in between the wait for those. But that's enough of that. Let me flip you guys around so you can see which two I'm going to be making. And then I will start printing and cutting those out, and we'll see how much of that I get to put in this video. I don't know how long this video is going to end up being because of my rambling and the calibration taking up some of the beginning of this video, so we'll see. But let me flip you guys around so that you can see our two new ones I'm going to be doing. So here is the not albino, but a paler version of a bearded dragon, and it is actually called the Whiplets, which is an African term. I don't remember which language it is, but it basically means like bright lightning, or it's something to do with lightning being bright or being lightning, you know, something to that effect. I'm sorry that I don't fully know. I read about it, and I probably should have refreshed my memory before trying to tell you guys about it. But it makes the bearded dragon very lighter than a hypo, which they do have. So stay tuned for that one to be coming out at some point when the other hypos come out. But it also removes its patterning. So it's actually one of 3 of the patternless bearded dragon morphs that they have. And I know that I had said I wasn't going to be doing any of the pattern altering ones, but patternless is a lot easier to alter on the way that I did my stickers than redoing an actual pattern itself. So I decided that doing a patternless one is okay for now. But let me show you guys. If you remember, this is our little bearded guy, and that is what a whiplet looks like. So here it is. You can see it's got tail patterning, and then it has kind of a hexagonal pattern that goes up its back. But on the whiplets, it has no patterning at all, and it makes it kind of like a creamy color almost, and it makes its little toenails transparent, and I didn't know how to do that very effectively on a sticker, so it's almost white, but not really. It's like a creamy color. But on all the other kind of morphs that are just color, they got the plain black. Oops. They got the plain black nails. But you can see that it is a good bit lighter than our bearded dragon sticker that we have of the normal. So that's the one that I thought would be good as a replacement for an albino, because bearded dragons actually currently do not have viable albinos. They do not make it to adulthood. There are some I guess specialty breeders that have just been able to cultivate some of their albino babies to adulthood, and are selling them as very luxury bearded dragon pets. So they're like thousands of dollars expensive, but they're not really actually on the market, mainstream marketing, because albino bearded dragon babies don't make it. And even though, like I said, there is like an very expensive specialty bearded dragon breeder that just now like came out with some adults that you can purchase. I didn't feel comfortable making an albino bearded dragon sticker because, like I said, mainstream wise, they're not available and they don't make it. So until they actually are healthy and they don't, you know, have potential risk of dying in the egg or as babies after just hatching, and they're able to strengthen their genes some more, I'm not going to be making it. But if they do end up making a way for there to actually be an albino bearded dragon healthily, safely made, then I will consider making it. But I don't want to be promoting that whenever they don't have a very good likelihood of living. So I hope that you guys understand, because I don't want to be marketing or promoting things that aren't really feasible to be promoting. And ethically for me, albino bearded dragons is one of the things that doesn't make sense currently to be doing, especially since it's such a new development and it's already known that they don't make it as babies. So I'm going to just be doing the whiplets for them as their albino replacement. And then, and I'm sorry that was pretty long-winded, but I wanted to explain myself to you guys and let you know that I do know that there technically is an albino, but that I don't think it actually counts until they can live. But this one is gonna be my albino replacement for the white tree frog, which is the honey morph of the white tree frog, which usually have blue eyes, and as you see, they're a nice yellow color. And so this is going to be the one that I release with the other albinos for them, because from what I can tell, they do not have an albino. This is the closest one that they have to an albino. And from what I can tell, most honeys have blue eyes, but if you breed them with other morphs, they might not have the blue eye. The blue eye, I don't think, is completely dependent upon the honey, or the honey not completely dependent on the blue eye. So it's just, they usually come together, but that they can come separate, if that makes sense. The way that I'm trying to explain it, like with an albino, albinos always have red eyes, right? Because it is the lack of pigment in a animal. It's a lack of melanin. And so the eye is always red because you're actually seeing like the blood vessels in the eye where the color should be. But with the honey, it does have coloring to it, and not all of the honeys always have blue eyes, and not all blue eyes are only just to honey. If you breed them with other morphs, you could get a blue eye or you could not. If I hope that that makes sense. Like if you breed an albino with another morph, it always has red eye, but these don't always have blue eye. It's like 50-50. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Again, if I'm incorrect on any of this stuff, you guys can feel free to let me know. I'm not actually like a herp person. I really like sciencey stuff. I like learning, so whenever I'm like learning about like what colors things come in and you know the patterns that things are, like the way that morphs work, I try my best to read all of the actual accurate information, but I might not always get it correctly relayed to you. But I will try to, I'll try my best to try and explain things if you guys appreciate that. I don't really know if you guys appreciate that or not. I haven't really started doing my morphs yet, but I think it's all really interesting to me personally. So I wanted to tell you guys all that. And I know that that ends up making the video a little rambly. And I hope you guys don't mind. But I really like sharing, I really like sharing facts and knowledge that I learn whenever finding all this stuff out. So those are the two that I'm gonna be doing: the honey white tree frog, or also known the dumpy frog, and the whiplet bearded dragon. So I already have their pages ready in the Cricut Maker to print, and I'm gonna start with the bearded dragon. So I will go ahead and get that printed out, and I'll come back to you guys whenever it's ready for us to cut out and see how the color looks printed. Alright guys, the Whiplets has printed out, and I wanted to show you guys what it looks like. They're freshly printed, and I'm gonna bring them over here. My printer's about to make noise. But I wanted to show you guys what they look like. The color actually came out really nicely. I was a little worried with how the color was gonna look. As you know, I always worry about that. Printer, will you please be quiet? I'm always worried with how the color's gonna look, because it is different printed than on the laptop. But I think that the color looks really nice. So let me flip you guys around and show you. Here they are. And I think that the color came out nicely. I didn't want to make them too light, and I don't think I did. On the computer, it still looks a little lighter than even this does. But I think that this is a good color, good hue. And then I brought over our little guy that we already have printed, our normal bearded dragon, and you can see the difference between the colors. I know that it's hard to tell the differences without a comparison just based off of memory, but that's how they look, the differences between the colors. I think it's pretty obvious now, looking at them. I always, again, worry about that as well. And you can tell no pattern, the little toenails. I think that they came out fine. I don't really think that you can tell that they're a creamy color. They're not just a pure white, but that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that you can still see that they have the little toenails on their feet. Like it didn't blend in with their scale color, and I think that it works like that. So I'm going to go ahead and laminate them and get them cut out. But that's how they look so far. I'm letting them dry. That one looks like it might have gotten a little bit of like printing streaks on it, but I think that that will be okay. So I'm going to let those sit just for a little bit, as I always do, and then I will laminate them and get them cut out and show you guys what they look like. But I'm very happy with how they look. They are, again, pretty close to a hypo, but hypo still has the pattern, and these are a little bit lighter, which you guys will see when I get to hypos. So that's still just a little tease for that, but that's how they look. I'm excited. I'm gonna also go ahead and get the honeys printed out for the whites, tree frogs, the dumpy frogs, and I'll come back whenever those are printed as well. Okay guys, as you can see, the bearded dragons have printed and cut out, and I think that they did really good. So I'm very excited. But let's go ahead and peel off the excess paper so we can see how they did. And this looks like they did really good, guys. I'm very excited about it. I thought that this one was going to come off very easy. There we go. But there he is. Do you see him? Our Wit Blitz bearded dragon. I think that they came out really good, I think. And I just noticed that my nails actually kind of match him. My nails are a little messed up because I've had this color on for a while, actually. But that's kind of funny. I didn't notice that until right now. That they're gonna my nail color is gonna be the color of our stickers we're doing today. I'm just gonna go ahead and peel all these up. And as you guys might have noticed, even with the I'm gonna get the pick out for this one actually. As you guys might have noticed, I switched back to the green grid. Even whenever I was doing the calibration, because I wasn't able to lay the paper on the purple one exactly lined up perfectly the way I wanted. And I don't think it actually is the purple grid's fault. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just, in trying to make sure that everything was perfectly lined up, I ended up swapping grids, and it worked out on the calibration, so I just didn't get the purple one back out. But it did fine with our little beardies. Is that something? Yeah, that was something on him. There we go. There's our Wit Blitz, guys. I'm so happy with how they came out. They look so good. Okay, now let us move on to the honey whites tree frog, dumpy frog, and see how they come out. I'm expecting their color and cutting to be good. I hope that I didn't just jinx myself saying that, but if the way that the Wit Blitz came out has any correlation with how these guys are about to do, I think that they're going to look really good. I'm excited. So let us let us get on to our last one of this video. The next video will definitely be the rest of the albinos. But let's do the honeys. All right, the honey frog just printed out. Let me move over here so I can see the color a little bit better. And I think that the color came out good. Let me switch you guys around so we can assess together. So here is the honey frogs. On camera, they look a little bit, I guess, brown almost. In person, they don't look as brown. Their tummies are a very nice pink color, which I'm excited about. I'm very pleased with how that came out. The honey color itself is, I think, exactly how it's supposed to be. Because they're not like bright yellow from what I can figure out. How their morph is it's not a very bright, vibrant yellow. As the name kind of suggests, it's more of like a honey color, kind of orangey toned and a little bit more muted. And I think in person that it came out correctly. On camera, it looks like they might look a little bit brown. I don't know if that's what it looks like for you guys or not. I think in person though that the color is correct. And their little eye is very cute. I didn't want their eye to be too striking, too electric blue, because again, that's not how they are actually colored. But I did want it to be noticeable and a nice blue tone, and I think that it works. So, and I think that the blue looks nice on camera. I'm just a little concerned, not I guess concerned necessarily, because in person I think that the colors look good, but on camera I feel like they might look a little bit brown, but that might just be my eye because I'm actually seeing in person how they look compared to how it looks to you guys on the camera. So overall though, pleased with how they look. Now I'm going to let them dry just for a little bit, laminate them, come back to you guys whenever we're ready to see how they look as a sticker. All right, I have you guys set up. Here are the honey frogs all cut out. Again, they look like they did really good, but let me peel off the excess paper so we can take a better look. And I think I was correct. I think that they did really good. They look perfectly in line, perfectly centered in the cut. There he is, our little honey blue-eyed dumpy frog. White's tree frog. There he is. Let me peel off all these other little guys. There we go. These ones I might actually go like this. There we go. There we go. All right. There they are. Our little blue-eyed honey dumpy frogs. I think that they came out really good. I'm very happy with how the color looks in person. And let me set up to show you guys our final shots of the stickers for today. Okay guys, here you go. Here is our new Woodblitz bearded dragon and our blue-eyed honey dumpy white's tree frog. And here are the normal ones, just so you guys can compare. But I think that they came out really good. I am very happy with how they came out. I am really surprised, honestly, with how much I love this little Whitblitz bearded dragon. He is so cute. I don't know what it is about him, but I just love him. I like the honey also. I thought that the little blue eyes would really win me over, but something about him is just so cute. I don't know what it is. I love all of them, of course, but I don't know, he speaks to me somehow. But here is the final view of how they look, and in the next video I'll do our final albinos of our other reptiles that we already have on the shop. So that's going to be the hognose, the African fat tail, and the corn snake. So you guys can look forward to that. But let's go ahead and jump to our outro for this video. Alright guys, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing what all I got up to today in the office. I know that we only did 2 stickers today, but we did calibrate the Cricut Maker, so that's kind of an important thing to do whenever you're making stuff. So even though that might not have been as exciting as actually printing out another sticker, that's just something that I have to do, and as I'm bringing you guys with me on this journey, I decided that I'm gonna share some of the stuff that is also maybe a little boring, but you know, that is that's how it goes. So next time though, we will have more stickers to print. I have the 3 other albinos to do, so we won't just be doing 2 next time, we'll be doing 3. And we have more stickers in the future to print as well. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, share any comments that you have down in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can continue on this journey with me, and click the bell so that you get notified whenever I upload a video. All of my links will be down in the description down below to my Etsy, my Instagram, and my TikTok, as well as my shop Gmail, and all of that also is culminated in a LinkTree in case you guys like those instead. But all those are going to be down there for you if you want to check out my other socials as well. I think that's all that I have to say, so I will see you guys in the next video whenever we do some more sticker printing. Bye YouTube!